Welcome back to On Football. Today's review is going to be on the limited edition Adidas Freak X Kevlar cleat. So Adidas, just like their sneakers, they've been partnering up, making some exclusive cleats. You guys saw the Snoop Lions that I unboxed earlier this summer and reviewed those. This time they partnered up with DuPont's Kevlar to make the Freak X Kevlar cleat. So we're going to take a look at this. I unboxed them a couple weeks ago, as you guys saw. You guys saw they came with an authentic camo bag, to kind of carry the cleats or whatever else you may have. And then you have the actual cleat itself that they partnered up with Kevlar. So, of course, I'm going to give you an overview of the cleat. Then I'm going to cover off on all things I usually do, talking about the traction, the fit, the ventilation, the cushioning, the durability, among other things, specifically with this cleat. So, without further ado, let's get started. So first I'm going to go back to the bag. If you guys hadn't seen the unboxing, this is the bag that these cleats come with. And again, this is a special edition Veterans Way colorway of the Freak X Kevlar. So I'm not sure if they're going to produce more colors of this or if those ones are going to come with a camo bag as well. But you can see that it has straps on it that are adjustable. It kind of buckles in the front, kind of like a hiking bag, for additional support. So let me show what that kind of looks like. So, just so you can get an accurate view. But you can buckle it in the front. It's like completely adjustable, right here. And here's how it looks at the back. So the bag itself is actually really tight. I mean, construction quality is great. It's really authentic. It's got the Velcro here. You can kind of put other things here. You can take things off the cleats and put them here as well. I'll show you that Velcro later. The only thing is, it's kind of tough to fit the cleats in this bag. As big as these cleats are, it's a little tough to fit two in that bag. So, it is what it is. So here is the cleat itself. The upper is made of sprint skin, which means it's super breathable, super light, and it's reinforced with shock web. This is something that they use in the Adidas 5 stars to make it super lightweight. So that is something that, if you were to take a look at this cleat, you kind of see like all the ventilation here, and this material is supposed to be that sprint skin. They also have a tech fit booty on the inside, so that gives it an improved fit. It's really cushioned back here at the Achilles, which is really nice, as well as the tongue. So on your forefoot is really cushioned. But all along the inside, this whole tongue is ventilated. The bottom is made of, I think I said carbon fiber before in my unboxing, but this is actually a Kevlar weave. This is going to be even stronger than carbon fiber. That's where they partnered up with Kevlar to produce this cleat. Now the bottom of the plate is actually the new 5-star frame. This is something that you're going to see on the Adidas 5 Stars 4.0, but this is a new traction pattern, a new cleat pattern for this cleat. I think it's excellent. They're finally, I think getting, as good as Nike in terms of the traction at the bottom. Then this cleat also introduces something that Adidas calls lock web. And the lock web is actually the lacing system. You can see the lacing system doesn't go straight up. You actually have different places where you can put the laces in. I kept them in as Adidas, sent them to me because the laces are kind of long. So if they weren't, all the way looped through here, I don't know if it would have the same fit, pull, and the laces would just be dangling everywhere. The other thing about this cleat is you've got the Velcro. So it says Know Your Why, just like the hat that I'm wearing. It says Know Your Why. It has an American flag on this side, and it has the stripes, the Adidas stripes on this side. And everything, could be taken off. You can un-Velcro it, you can kind of customize it the way that you want. I actually tried testing taking the flag off and putting the flag at the back and using this as a kind of 4-foot Velcro strap over the laces, which I did think improved some of the stability. The downside was, once it's on the laces, it kind of, pulls up the laces and kind of separates a little bit. So if you kept doing that, I'm not sure how long your laces would last. But that's kind of overview of the cleat. Now I'm going to talk to you about the traction. So like I said before, the traction on this plate is a new cleat pattern called the 5-star frame, and this is excellent. It's some of the best. I mean, there was no slippage, variety of surfaces. You talk about grass, you talk about turf. Check out my article on icavblog.com that talks about which type of grass molded cleats are to be used on, but this is excellent. So probably one of the best Adidas cleat plates that I've ever tested. Excited to see them use this on more cleats next year. So this did get a 9 out of 10 for traction. This cleat is extremely lightweight thanks to the sprint web and the tech fit. It doesn't look lightweight, they probably look heavy, but it's super lightweight. So that's something, I mean, this cleat is excellent. I'm going to tell you what positions I recommend it for, but for power and speed and quickness, this is a great cleat. So the lightweight on this, I gave this an 8 out of 10 for weight. When I try these on, you know, you guys know that I don't usually wear mids, right? So because this is got the tech fit booty, you actually have some of this ankle support, but it doesn't restrict you. You still have the flexibility, as you can see, you know, to move. So that was a great part about it, but it did adjust the fit. You know, now I'm more of a speed player, a DB, you know, I've got thin ankles, and like I said, this cleat is really built for both power and speed. So with that, I gave the fit an 8 out of 10, but I think if you're, you know, a linebacker, if you're a defensive end, if you're a tight end, one of those power players that really want that additional speed and quickness, this is probably going to have a little bit of a better fit for you. And the reason is you're probably going to be a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier, probably have a little bit of a wider foot. So you've got a wider, you know, foot base, and the Vapor cleats, or, you know, kind of the 5-star cleats, the added zeros are too thin for you. This is going to be a great, excellent option. So again, the fit, I gave an 8 out of 10. The ventilation on this cleat is great as well, again, because you've got that sprint skin with that sprint web, so it's breathable, even though it doesn't look like it all throughout. My feet didn't really get hot at all while I was doing it. You know, I was kind of surprised because it does look like you would get hot, but even if you look at the inside, right, it's just breathable all around. So with that being said, ventilation-wise, I gave this an 8 out of 10. As I mentioned, as I keep mentioning, that this is more for power and speed players, it does have good cushioning, but the cushioning is a lot like the Nike Alphas. There's more cushioning at the back of the foot than there is at the front of the foot. So that's how you really, you know, going to feel that speed. You're going to get that feedback from the ground. I think for some of you heavier players that like that cushioning, this might not be the cleat for you. But if you kind of you want that lighter cleat, kind of with that 5-star added zero feel, this is going to be a good cleat because you've got that thicker cushioning at the back and you've got the thinner cushioning up front to really allow for that speed and quickness. So in terms of the cushioning, I gave this an 8 out of 10. Last thing to talk about is the durability. Kevlar, like I said, is one of the strongest materials. Kevlar fibers are really super strong, but you look at the construction of this cleat for this Veterans Day colorway, and it's just, I mean, there's no mistakes about it, right? I mean, it's double stitched in all the places I can see. You know, you look at right here, you see that double stitching. The Velcro is super sticky. It's not one that's, you know, how you get stuff stuck in it, and like the Velcro is not going to work after a while. So, I mean, that's fine too. Even when you look at how the laces, the lock web system, you can see the amount of stitching. So the quality on this is excellent. I mean, they're super durable. So I gave this an 8 out of 10 for durability. So last thing is the price. Again, this is a limited edition colorway, so you can still find it on places like East Bay. I have not seen it back on the Adidas site, but I think if you can check around, you can Google, but they do cost $150. I think it's a solid cleat. So go ahead and check that out. And if you like my reviews, remember to give me a thumbs up, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.